everyone. Welcome to my series where I talk about my books that I have read during 2019 and I review them. Today I wanted to talk about a book that I kind of got on a whim because about, I want to say June or so, I started using Amazon's Audible app. And one of the things that I had rented was from their Audible Escape, which at the time I think was called the Romance Pack. Basically, there was a whole grouping of different romance novels that were available for listening to for free, as long as you didn't go over the 10 limit. And this one was one that the summary caught my eye, as did the cover, and that was Between Sinner and Saints by Marie Sexton. And this one intrigued me because the two main characters, Levi is a bartender and Jamie is a physical therapist. And the reviews had me a little scared, though. This is about basically Levi ends up having an injury and he goes to Jamie to get relief. And in that, they start kind of this back and forth. The thing that made me really nervous about this one is because in a lot of reviews they talked about the heavy religious aspect of the story, along with some very sensitive topics when it came to sexual assault, along with mental disorders. And I tend to sometimes have a problem with some of these. But I powered through, and it honestly ripped my heart out and stomped on it. But in a good way. Like, I actually love this book. It almost made my top 10, but there were some books that did beat it out. It was a close one there. But this one, Levi and Jamie both have their own demons. Levi, his name is short for Leviticus. He is one of several in a large Mormon family. And one thing that most people probably don't know about me is that my mom's side of the family is Mormon. So I actually grew up knowing a lot about the Mormon religion. Now, she's not a practicing Mormon, but I do have family that were practicing Mormons. And it was interesting to see some of the parallels. I'm like, oh, I recognize that. But Levi's family is very, very strict Mormon, and him being gay and living the way he does, basically hopping from bed to bed, working at a club where it's okay to go into the back room and screw a customer, is really frowned upon in his family. And one of their oldest conversations is about how he needs to settle down. And I don't necessarily disagree with their assumption on that, but I disagree with how they handle it. Over the course of the book, one of the biggest people that really irritated me was the youngest sister, Rachel, who was so outspoken with her distaste and hatred for the way that Levi was living. And I kept feeling like she was sticking her foot in her mouth most of the time whenever she did open her mouth. His father, of course, was also one that didn't truly approve of what his lifestyle was, but those two were the ones that were a lot of the problem. A couple of his brothers were not entirely in on it, but they were about letting Levi live his life. Whereas Jamie, on the opposite side of the coin, unfortunately, he had a very traumatic upbringing, where he had just a warning on this one. He was, molested as a child, by someone in his family, and it scarred him very, very badly. And it's actually why he became what he is now. And Levi, being as aggressively sexual as he is, had to tone that way back. And it was so nice seeing him take Jamie's feelings into account whenever they did something. They played it at Jamie's pace. And even though there wasn't like the sex that I normally enjoy in these books, the little bits that we got felt real because they were about Jamie's comfort and what he was okay with. And yeah, they had several missteps along the way, but they learned from it and they actually were able to work cohesively as a couple. And eventually, they did get Levi's family to kind of be on board with him, and he did change his life for the better. And it was a really, really good book, and I highly recommended it. And I probably wouldn't have read it if it wasn't part of the Audible Escape. And it was just really, really good. I highly, highly recommend it. As long as it's not a book that triggers you, because if you have a problem with sexual assault, it's not explicitly shown, but it is mentioned. And there is a part where some flashback happens where emotions are really high, but there is not actually like on page molestation. So just want to kind of clarify that. So I thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate you all being here, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.